Stellar remains a project that I continue to focus on heavily, especially on this channel, simply because as we really look at how money is starting to change and evolve, we know that the entire world is going to be sending and receiving money on DLT. It just makes sense. It's something that is happening. And Stellar has always been committed to this since inception. And it is one of those projects that has made so many big strides since inception, to the point where it is already embedded with some very large names around the world to make sure that this vision of DLT basically becoming the new rails of money actually happens. And with that being said, we have a lot to talk about. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in to this 2024 in review. We have from launching the Stellar smart contracts platform to connecting with our ecosystem at Meridian, 2024 was one for the books. Take a look back at the year. Now, before I actually tap into this, I just want you guys to understand that as we really think about what's happening around money and around tech itself, DLT is starting to slowly but surely be integrated within the traditional financial system. And this is a very big deal to me because I have always been focused on utility on this channel. I've always been focused on some of these big players like Stellar, for an example, that has been paving a way to the on and off ramp, service area, if you will, to make sure that everyone around the world has access to efficient payments and also has access to financial services, aka banking the unbanked. That's always been the end goal for Stellar. And even today, as we really look at these yearly breakdowns, you could see how much growth there is for these players like Stellar. So let's actually look into this. So here we have the 2024 in review. And initially, once we are opening this, we have the smart contract platform that did launch on Stellar. This is Sorbonne. Sorbonne has been absolutely killing it. We've been focused on the smart contracts. I think that they're well over almost like 2,000 plus now, which is pretty crazy. But that's a very big deal. Outside of that, they also launched passkeys for a more seamless smart wallet interface, which is also a very big deal. Users can basically easily sign contracts and verify transactions using biometrics, eliminating the need for traditional two-factor authentication and reducing risk of data breaches as well. Then on top of that, the first protocol crossed 10 million in TVL. Blend, a modular liquidity protocol, reached an all-time high of 12 million in TVL as of December 4th of last year. This growth is supported by key integrations with wallets like Maru, highlighting its expanding ecosystem and user adoption. Then, of course, we have Protocol 21 and 22 network upgrades launched on the mainnet. These are mainly just around efficiencies being improved, like lower cost, higher performance, things like that. And the next part is the real juicy part, right? Which is payments and the volumes around, the actual network, which we have down here that we support innovation in payments and wallets. 10 million year-to-date total operations, which is very big. New wallets launched with MoneyGram access, which included Iara, TrueBit, Espresso Cash, MoneyFlap, and Owl Pay. Now, if you guys don't know, MoneyGram already responded back saying we welcomed 11 wallets to the MoneyGram Access network this year, further bridging digital assets and local currencies. No bank account required. Keep an eye out for more in 2025. Cheers to another strong year with Stellar. Now, if we go back over here, we have MoneyGram Access makes it possible for users to convert physical cash to digital dollars and vice versa without a bank account, aka enabling the mass adoption of Stellar. 31.4 million total RWA transaction volume as well. Then we have Stellar joined the MasterCard crypto credential ecosystem, which helps verify interactions among consumers and businesses, will enable a range of more secure, more compliant use cases for crypto wallet providers. This collaboration marks a big step forward in making cryptocurrency transactions more user-friendly. And we also have $17.4 million awarded to SCF grants, which is also a very big deal, especially for the ecosystem adoption and growth. Wallets released new features for better user experiences, and then also Stripe announced payouts on Stellar, which this is a big deal. If you guys know, for the longest time, everyone has always looked at Stripe collaborating with Stellar, and it was only a matter of time until we actually saw this really kind of become a big deal, and it did happen in 2024. which is definitely a big deal. And then assets. We drove real world adoption in terms of real world assets. Franklin Templeton's Benji investment platform, for an example, reached an all-time high supply of roughly $450 million. Then GYen and ZUSD were listed on Bitstamp. Outside of that, new integrations with Stellar Network were announced. Paxos, the leading blockchain infrastructure and tokenization platform, announced plans to bring assets to the Stellar Network to facilitate the institutional adoption of stablecoins. And then also Taurus Protect, a custody platform, the Taurus Capital, a digital issuance and tokenization platform, integrated with Stellar, enabling banks and issuers to issue and process any tokenized asset via the Stellar network. Then, of course, Yellow Card, the largest and only licensed stablecoin on and off ramp on the African continent, introduced USDC on Stellar. With this integration, users on the Yellow Card app can now send USDC on the Stellar network, offering game-changing convenience to 20 African countries. And then the network itself, of course, they did launch on Dune and Artemis for more data to really kind of track the data. And then also security provider Blockade joined the ecosystem. And then we are advancing humanitarian solutions. They continue to push forward with that. And then collaboration. They fostered stellar ecosystem collaboration. They launched 2 new accelerator programs with Draper University. Then the actual ecosystem came together at Meridian every single time. At Meridian, it's a very big deal. And then also more than 17.4 million in lumens were awarded to the Stellar community through the Stellar Community Fund. Outside of that, like I said, the network has been growing significantly, but I do want to come back up to the top and focus on one thing, which is this MasterCard crypto credential ecosystem. Now, I want to focus on this because we recently just saw a big announcement. And we have here today, MasterCard launches crypto credential in UAE and Kazakhstan, simplifying blockchain transactions with secure aliases and expanding crypto accessibility in the EEMEA region. Now, again, going back here, Stellar joined the MasterCard crypto credential ecosystem. So if we're thinking about this, those transactions could be settled on Stellar. It's definitely a possibility. And again, here's the actual announcement going back to October 15th of Stellar joining the MasterCard crypto credential ecosystem to unlock verifiable interactions across public blockchain networks. This was a big one. We talked about it a little bit, but this was still, I still think that even today, it's kind of crazy to see some of these names. I know that people are so used to it now. If you're new to crypto, you've probably been hearing about some of these big names, jumping in on crypto. So it's kind of like, it's nothing new to you, and I feel like I kind of speak for a lot of people out there because you have been watching the channel for a while. Still today to see names like MasterCard collaborating with some big names like Stellar, it's just crazy to finally see it all coming together. Like it's very, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just seeing something happening in real time after talking about it and addressing things for a while. It's definitely something to experience. It definitely is. But this is definitely a big deal. And, again, they continue to push forward, continue to grow. MasterCard is absolutely killing the game, and they are all in on the crypto train at this point. And they want to make sure that they push this around the world so they continue to, expand and grow rapidly. But going back to that ecosystem comment that I mentioned in terms of how fast Stellar has been growing, yeah, they continue to push forward. For an example, PayFi is an ecosystem that is launched and actually built out on Stellar because Stellar was built for payments. The future can only be built on a future-proof network. And if we actually look at this, right, Huma Finance was the first PayFi network, essentially. And if we actually look at the PayFi ecosystem map, introducing the PayFi ecosystem map, a powerful visualization of the financial architecture shaping the future of global payment financing. It highlights the 6 foundational layers of the PayFi stack, driving faster, lower cost, and more accessible financial solutions. It also delves into the key players across the stack and how they're enabling use cases such as cross-border payments and DPIN. And if we actually look at this full stack, we can see some pretty big names on here, obviously, right? But then you really look at the actual names and you start to do a little bit of research, and then you actually see the fact that, Stellar Where's Stellar at? They're under the transaction layer, right? But if we think about that, a lot of these other layers are already completely enabled through Stellar as well. So let's go back to that post by Stellar, and we have PayFi is built on Stellar because Stellar was built for payments. And yeah, this is something that I focus on, right? Because the ecosystem continues to grow significantly around the payment space, the transaction layer, if you will. For an example over here, Bitbond's token tool is now live on Stellar. Now this was making it possible to easily create a token in 4 simple steps with extremely low fees. Tokenization enables businesses to lower operational costs, access 24/7 operations, and gain exposure to new revenue opportunities. Now you might be saying, well, Nick, this isn't really around the payment space, is it? It is though, because if we're thinking about tokens, these could be basically anything, right? You could have payment tokens, you could have transactional tokens on specific use cases. I mean, this is just one of many integrations that Stellar has. If we go back to Stellar's actual X account and we just scroll down, okay? For an example, we have Phoenix DeFi Hub, which is launching. This is going to be a big one because they are also providing a user-friendly mobile wallet app with DeFi use cases, which is going to be a big deal. Providing everyone it's basically like banking the unbanked, if you will. On top of that, if we just scroll back a little bit, further, we know that FawnBank, for an example, which we always kind of talk about a little bit, FawnBank is a big deal because this is enabling, anyone that has, basically a prepaid SIM card to turn those prepaid SIM cards into virtual debit cards with Stellar. Meaning, again, they don't have to have a bank account. When we look at this, okay, anyone out there can get banked through a mobile phone. This is with FawnBank, with Stellar. This is all for the unbanked people around the world, it's a massive amount. For an example, 350 million in Africa alone. So when we go back to the PayFi, discussion, yeah, I mean, payments on Stellar, I mean, it's already here, right? The revolution is already here. You have MoneyGram. MoneyGram has been absolutely killing the game for on and off ramp services. MoneyGram is basically utilized around the entire world to send and receive money, going from the US overseas, back and forth. Again, they're using Stellar. Stellar right now, to a lot of people, might seem as though it's like a small project. Oh, XLM is whatever. And even more recently, XLM was completely ignored up until the point where it started to explode in value. But we have been focused on Stellar for so long because of the growth behind it. Massive moves are being made, and it's not just about MasterCard. It's not just about some of the other, names tied back to Stellar. If we go back to the last 24 months on Stellar, guys, it's been an incredible 2 years since the bear market. Stellar is shining as a massive key player. We go back to the tokenization revolution with Franklin Templeton. We go back to the smart contract development. Stellar is a name that you have to be focused on right now because they have grown significantly in just the last 2 years to becoming an absolute giant. They've always been a big player, obviously, but now they're starting to kind of become that enabler of mass adoption of this tech. And if you really want to focus on utility, if you really want to focus on the big players that are enabling the Web3 future, Stellar is one of them. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.